So in this video, we're looking at the brand new DJI Air 3S, a fantastic drone, but some of the key settings that you need to change on this straight away. You might be upgrading from a mini series drone. It could be your first ever drone. Just follow along with this video and I'm going to show you how you can make your DJI Air 3S even better. So it really is a fantastic drone. I've been loving flying this and testing it out. But unfortunately, again, we have seen that by default out of the factory, a lot of the settings on here are just made that this drone is like from 5 years ago, or it doesn't fly as I want it to. Things are wrong with this. So you might actually get this and be like, this isn't actually very good, but it is. It's a fantastic drone. But you need to change a lot of the settings. So I'm going to be going through them now. I'm going to be using the DJI RC2 controller. Now, if you're using the DJI Fly App on your phone with the N3 controller, they're all pretty much exactly the same. So you can follow along with this video. You can pause it, come back to it, and I'm going to go through and show you some of the key settings that you need to change. I will do follow-up videos as well. So if you enjoy drone and tech content, make sure you subscribe because I've got so many more videos coming. But let's get into the first point, and this is a really important one. So to get to these settings, once you're on your main menu, you want to click Go Fly. Then when you're on your drone's camera screen, you want to click in the top right hand corner. It's going to be 3 dots. Click on them and that's going to be the settings menu. So the first one you'll see is obstacle avoidance action. So this is set by default to off. So you want to actually select bypass. This will mean when it actually detects an object in front of it, it will go around that object. You don't want your really expensive drone to crash straight away. Now, if you're using sports mode, the sensors will automatically turn off. But sometimes if I'm flying in cine and normal, and I'm doing more like daring moves, I will also turn them sensors off. This could be if I'm flying through small gaps, or like this scene here where I'm actually flying towards this car. My drone is pretty low to the ground. Now, if I had the sensors on, it will detect that ground and it will automatically start to actually raise that drone on its own. I don't want that. I want to have full control. So it is more risk to me, but I understand them risks. But like what, 90% of the time, just set that to bypass and your sensors will be on. Now the DJI Air 3S has a fantastic feature that the Mini 4 Pro doesn't have. Under safety, go right to the bottom, you will see advanced safety settings. If we click on that, go to the bottom, you will see AirSense. So the DJI Air 3S has ADS-B. This is Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast System. So what this will do is actually notify you of any aircraft in that area. This could be planes, helicopters, and it is fantastic. So for that reason, I have this switched on all the time. Now, whilst this is fantastic, you can also make this better as well. So if you click on your map, which is in the bottom left-hand corner, it will show you your current location. Now in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see a little plane icon. So if you click on that, it's going to show you high, medium and low risk collision warnings of any actual aircraft in your area. By default, it's set to medium. Now I actually changed this to low. So I want as much actually information as possible about any aircraft in that area. So if you click low and then go back onto your map, if you zoom out, it's now going to show you all the different aircraft in your current area. And this is live. It's fantastic. It will show you how far away that aircraft is and also its current altitude. A fantastic feature. Make sure this is turned on. And under that same menu of advanced safety settings, if you scroll to the very top of there, you're going to see signal loss. Super important, this. So you've got return to home, you've got descend, and you've got hover. Now, 95% of the time, select this to return to home. Now, thankfully, by default, it should be on return to home anyway, which means certain times your drone will disconnect from your controller. You might be flying too far away, you could be behind a building, you could be behind some trees. That signal could get lost for a variety of reasons, and automatically the drone should come back to its home point. But there are occasions where you don't want your drone to actually return back to that home point, in which case sometimes I will select hover. Let's just say you're riding a bike, you're going up a promenade and it's a 5-mile promenade. You lose connection. You don't want your drone to return all the way back to that home point where you started off from. You want it to actually just hover in place because it's going to be closer to you than the original home point. You might be on a moving boat, you could be in a car. If your home point is changing all the time, I would say select hover. If it's not and you're just stood in place in the same home point, select return to home, but don't ever select descend. Now, around 15% of you who watch these videos are subscribers. It would mean so much if we can actually get this to 20%. So if you enjoy tech and drone content, I've got loads of videos coming really soon as well. Hit that subscribe button. Let's try and get it to 20%. Let's move on to that next point. So the DJI Air 3S is capable of taking some fantastic photos. I've took so many on this drone. It's got 50 megapixels now, it's great. But by default, it's set to just JPEG. Now JPEG's okay, basically this does everything for you. But if you want to actually adjust that photo, you want to change some of the colors, change the exposure, the contrast, you can't really do a lot because the file size is pretty small, there's not much data captured. You want to actually use JPEG and RAW. Now 4:3 or 16:9 and 12 megapixel or 50. So on the Air 3S it's 50 megapixel. Now more megapixels means you're going to get better quality image. Now the downside to 50 megapixel is the file sizes are going to be larger, but also the shutter lag is increased as well. So it takes a lot longer to actually go around, you'll see on the controller, and take that photo. It takes about 5 seconds to take one photo. So if you're taking loads of photos, 12 megapixel is going to be a lot faster and it's going to be more than good enough. But 50 megapixel, this is going to give you the very best in terms of quality. It means you can also crop in as well. So for like a really good landscape shot, a really special shot that you want to capture, 50 megapixel is going to be the best in terms of quality. And 4:3 or 16:9, so the 16:9, this is like a more of a wider shot, so great for landscape shots, but it is actually cropped in. So if you want the original full quality image, then use 4:3, and if you want to, you can then crop in yourself afterwards. And by default, grid lines are turned off. So under camera, if you scroll down about halfway down, you'll see grid lines. So the middle one, this is the rule of thirds. This is going to allow you to actually frame your shots so much better, both in photos and videos as well. You can compose that shot and make a shot look all right to looking fantastic just because of good composition. It's not always about the actual camera. It's about the skill and the knowledge behind that camera as well. And composing it is a really important point. And also on the far right hand side, you can see this like little dot, it's like a crosshair. I always have this turned on as well. This is going to be great if you're going to be doing some like circles or orbit shots, tracking shots. So you can actually line that up with the building and actually focus on that. Without turning that on, it's going to be really difficult to actually keep like a orbit shots consistent. So have those two grid lines turned on all the time. By default, again, they're switched off. Now if you select the video button on your controller, it will now switch and show you the video settings. So under camera, so you've got normal, HLG and D-Log-M. So I personally shoot in D-Log-M. This is going to give me a flat color profile. It's 10 bits, so it captures 1 billion colors. It also is going to protect the highlights and the shadows, meaning that I can then use my own video LUTs afterwards. I can color grade it, put my own style on it. Gives me a lot of flexibility. If I actually use normal color profile, basically everything is done for you, and DJI put their own filter on that. But it doesn't give you a lot of choice then to edit it or actually use your own style or LUTs on top of it either. There's only minimal stuff you can do. Now, if you're not familiar or you're not used to color grading whatsoever, you're completely just starting, then normal is going to get you like 80% of the way. But if you want the very best in terms of quality, using D-Log-M with color display assist on, this is going to give you fantastic looking footage at an end result after you've used LUTs and color grading. So you have to be familiar with that. I would say we're just starting off, normal is going to be good enough. And then when you pick up my LUTs, which are going to be linked at the top of the description, this is going to give you the very best in terms of actual performance going forward. But I would say certainly if you're going to be using normal color profile, is on this drone and say the Mini 4 Pro as well, naturally DJI does make this far too sharp. So what you want to do is actually under camera, scroll down to near the bottom of that page and you'll see style. So if you click on that, you will see sharpness and noise reduction. So under sharpness, I have that turned down to -2. This will reduce some of the actual processing sharpness that DJI are applying. So -2, and I have this turned on whether I'm using D-Log-M or normal color profile. So there is no sponsor for this video, I'm actually sponsoring this myself. So I have my own website full of drone settings, cheat sheets. So I've got them for pretty much every DJI drone now. There's going to be some for DJI Air 3S coming out really soon as well. I've also got my own dedicated cheat sheets book. These go through all the different settings that I'm going through now, but in like a book format. I've also got digital downloads as well, where they get emailed to you and keep them on your phone, your iPad. So all of this different knowledge you're going to have with you all the time. Also video LUTs. If you're actually getting into color grading and you want to have the very best in terms of drone footage, I've got video LUTs that are going to transform your video, all specially designed for every DJI drone. So if you want to go check these out, it's going to support the channel so much. I really do highly appreciate it. I'm going to link it at the top of the description. The website is dmprovisuals.com. Thank you so much. Let's get back into the video. Now, this is a fantastic drone. It can film to 4K 60, 4K 120 in slow motion. I've got some great shots on this already, but by default under video mode, quick shots and master shots, it's all set to 1080p, like a HD drone that we had 10 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. But 4K should be the standard that you're actually using. You've bought a DJI Air 3S, a really good, expensive drone. Actually use it, get the actual full quality out of this drone. So make sure you go into your video mode and you actually select maybe 4K 25, 4K 24 for that cinematic look. 4K 30 is going to be like a great like overall look for social media. Nothing wrong with 4K 30 whatsoever. And then I'll be using 4K 50 or 4K 60 for slow motion. But majority of the time, I'm filming personally here in the UK at 4K 25 or 4K 30. Now you'll see also on the camera menu, video subtitles. This is going to give you an extra file, and then you can actually put that file into dedicated software and it will show you all the data, the flight log for that flight. When have you last done that? The downside to that is when you actually get your memory card out of the drone, every single clip that you take, you're going to have a subtitle file next to it. It looks really messy, takes up unnecessary space. So I personally just turn that off. Now, if you're actually looking at all of the data every single time you go up and fly, keep that on. But I've not used that for years. So for me, that is turned off. Now, I really don't understand why we actually continue to have this constant theme. Whenever we get a new drone, the gain and expo tuning is far too erratic and fast. So if you go under your control menu, scroll down, you'll see gain and expo tuning. So what I mean by that is it's like the drone has had like 15 cans of Red Bull. It's just far too erratic. So actually when you're flying this in cine or normal, it moves far too quick on the side. And that gimbal motion, the up and down speed, it just looks awful. It doesn't look cinematic in any way. So one of the first things I do all the time on any of these drones, especially in cine and normal, is turn them right down. So the max horizontal speeds, the max descent and ascent speeds, they're all like far too high by default. So I'm turning them down. And then crucially at the very bottom of that menu, it says gimbal. So max control speed and also tilt smoothness. So you want your gimbal to actually rise up really nice and smoothly and also rise down. You don't want it to fly up like this. Do you ever see that on any like cinematic films with their drone shots? Never. Also the tilt smoothness, you don't want it to like stop like that. You want it to be a smooth tilt up. So again, I'm lowering the speeds of them and it's something I highly recommend. Now the DJI Air 3S has a fantastic telelens on here, but we've also got an upgraded 1-inch sensor. So you've got a 50 megapixel main camera. So on the main screen, did you actually know that you can actually get some extra zoom as well if that wasn't just enough for you? So you've got that 1x which is set by default. But if you actually select that and actually click on it, it will select 2x. So it's still decent quality. I've used this, and because it's a 1-inch sensor, you're going to be able to actually get close to something without actually losing a lot of quality either. And I've used this a lot and I think it looks great. But the 3x telelens, I think this is a fantastic focal length, completely blows up that background, gets fantastic compression. Now the 3x telelens on here is a 48 megapixel. So if you actually click on that, it will actually now crop in 6x. So you're getting a 140mm focal length. It's great to have on this drone. Now, if you click that button again, you're going to get a 9x option. So this is going to give you a fantastic focal length, but you see there's quite a lot of noise in this image now as well. So I don't really use this a lot, but I certainly use that 6x, being able to actually crop in onto that sensor rather than doing it in the editing. It just saves so much time. Now, the aircraft has blinkers on the side of it, LEDs. Now, in some countries, this is a requirement when flying at low light. These need to be turned on all the time. So actually go under safety, and then you can go down to what's called aircraft LEDs. So by default, this is selected to on. So you might have to keep these on all the time. But if you're actually filming at night, you're taking some photos and videos, if you select auto, when it actually takes that photo or video, it will turn the blinker lights off, which means there's going to be less chance of any actual lights getting into your photos or videos and ruin it. Now, it's going to depend heavily on your country that you're flying in, so just check that first. Do you need blinkers on all the time in low light and nighttime? A lot of countries you do, but if you want to and you can, then if you select auto, it will keep the blinkers on when you're flying it, but it will turn them off when you're capturing content. So Vision Assist now is even better on the DJI Air 3S. So where your compass is on the bottom left hand corner, you can swipe to the left and it will show you out of them obstacle avoidance sensors. You can also click on that little icon on the bottom right hand corner of that compass as well. You can also select the down camera as well and look out at the camera at the bottom of the drone. So this is going to be fantastic if you're flying in areas where you're really close to objects. You want to actually look out of them cameras, make sure you're not close to crashing it. It is great. So return to home on here has got even better. It's the best in terms of return to home and obstacle avoidance out of any of the current consumer DJI drones. So my opinion has kind of like changed a bit here. So something which I didn't advise, I kind of now am doing. So you've got return to home, you've got optimal and preset. So preset, if you set it to say 75 meters, if that drone was to lose connection, it will rise up or rise down, depending on which height you're at, to 75 meters. It will then fly back in a straight preset line, straight back to that home point. But now under optimal, the drone is now capturing details of its location all the time. So it knows its exact route that it's done. It knows any obstacles in that area. So it's going to come back, it's going to avoid things, it's going to avoid obstacles, and it's going to get back to really safe. Now it does this now better than ever. The actual precision that we're getting now from return to home is unbelievable. It really is. So I now use optimal. So if the drone actually loses connection, it will come back to me, and I've used this now, I've tested it about 20 times, and every single time it's been spot on. However, I still don't use this when I'm flying in areas where there's loads of trees and also really tall buildings. In that case, I'm going to use preset, and I'll have it actually set to higher than that tallest object. So if I'm flying where there's loads of trees, I might set it to 120 meters, which means if it loses connection, it's going to just rise above them trees and come straight back to me in one line. I don't want it to like swerving around all these trees and branches getting back to me. It might work, but there's also a risk it won't. So it depends on the location. And that is it. Some of my main settings that you need to change on the DJI Air 3S. This is a fantastic drone, but some of the settings that have been set by default out of the factory really are questionable. So I hope that really does help you out. If you enjoyed this, do me a favor. All you got to do is hit that like button and subscribe. I really do appreciate it. Go and check out my website at the end of this video. I've got loads of drone LUTs, cheat sheets on there, all available for all the different DJI drones. And there's going to be some I'm working on them right now for the DJI Air 3S. So if they're not currently available when you're watching this, I'll link them as soon as they are in the description and at the top of the comments as well. So I really do appreciate you watching this. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.